Jai Hind everyone, my name is Ankita Rani. I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. Today we discuss the topic memory management and operating system. So first of all, we know about what is memory. So the term memory can be defined as a collection of data in a specific format, like the information we collected through different locations, and it is used to store instruction and process that data. So the memory comprises a large array or group of words or bytes, each with its own location. So the memory can be in, like for example, we have memory of size 100 KB, we have the memory of size 100 MB, 100 GB. So this represent the large array or group of words. So basically this is the size of the memory, KB, MB, GB, TB. So these all are the memory in bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes. So the primary motive of computer system is to execute the program. These program along with the information they access should be in the main memory during the execution process. After that, the CPU fetches instruction from the memory according to the value of the program counter. Program counter stores the address of the data. So, what is main memory? The main memory is stored in between the hard disk and the CPU, which is called RAM. So, main memory, for example, this is the hard disk and this is our CPU. So main memory is in between in both these, which is called RAM. So we can call our main memory as a RAM. RAM is a technology for main memory that it allow for random read and write. So main memory is a large array of words and which is ranging in size from hundred or thousands to billions to millions. So main memory is a repository of rapidly available information which is shared by the CPU and input output devices. And main memory is associated with the processor which is called our CPU, because RAM is associated to the CPU. So moving instruction and information into the and out of the processor is extremely fast. So they can easily share the memory from RAM to the CPU and from CPU to the RAM. So main memory is also known as the random access memory, and this memory is a volatile memory. Volatile memory means it lost the data when a power interruption occurs. So this is the memory hierarchy of at what level the memory are placed in our operating system. First of all, we have a registers. The memory is in register. After register, we have a cache memory. Cache memory is a very fast memory and very small memory, and it works very fast. After that, we have a main memory. In main memory, which is called as RAM, in this memory is used for processing the data with the help of the CPU and hard disk drive. After that, we have a electronic disk. Electronic disk means the data is stored in a disk format, like electronic disk. After electronic disk, we have magnetic disk. In magnetic disk, the data is stored in a disk form like this. This is the structure of the disk, and the data is stored in this form. So this is the data is stored in a spindle, and this is our registers, and this is our tracks. So the data is in the form of the magnetic disk. After magnetic disk, we have a optical disk, and after that, at last, we have a magnetic tapes. So this is the memory hierarchy through which the data can go in various forms. So why memory management is required in operating system? So the memory is required in operating system for storing any information in some format. For example, allocate and deallocate memory before and after the execution of any program, and to keep track of used memory space by processes. For example, if we have any process P1 and we have another process P2, so we can track of how much memory is consumed through the process P1 and how much memory is consumed through the process P2. After that, to minimize fragmentation issues, like we have a different kind of fragmentation like internal fragmentation, external fragmentation. So to minimize these type of fragmentation, we use the memory management. Through the memory management, we easily minimize the fragmentation issues. After that, to proper utilization of main memory. Proper utilization of main memory means we properly utilize the CPU utilization. Proper CPU utilization, and if any process is a request for the IO input output devices, so the CPU can release the resource, and the process can use the input output request. So at the time of that, the CPU is idle, so next process is come to that CPU. So through this we can proper utilization of the main memory. After that, to maintain data integrity while executing of the process. So if we want to execute any process, we must make sure that the data integrity will be maintained. So there is a concept of memory management unit. Memory management unit is a computer hardware component that handle all the memory and caching operations associated with the processor. So in other words, memory management unit is responsible for all aspects of the memory management. It is usually integrated into the processor, although in some system it occupies a separate integrated circuit chip. So the work of the memory management unit is divided into three major categories. So basically we have three major categories for the memory management unit. First is hardware memory management. Second is operating system memory management, and third is application memory management. So hardware memory management in this which oversees and regulate the processor's use of RAM for and cache memory. So basically hardware memory management focuses on the cache memory and focus on the RAM, processor's use of RAM. So basically it works for the RAM and the cache memory. Second is operating system memory management. So operating system memory management means which ensure that the availability of adequate memory resources for the object and for any data structure of each running program at all the time. So basically it works for the data structure and object. Availability of adequate memory resources for the data structure and object of each running program at all the times. Third is application memory management. For application memory management, allocate the individual program required memory and then recycle freed up space when the operation conclude. So basically it allocate the memory, required memory. After the usage of the memory, it recycle the free space, and they can send the space to the another operation. So next is bare machine. What is bare machine? Bare machine is nothing but it is a logical hardware used to execute the program in the processor without using the operating system. As of now, we have studied that we can't execute any process without the operating system, but yes, with the help of the bare machine, we can do that. We can execute any program without the help of the operating system, because initially in the past earlier days, we can use a bare machine for executing any program without the use of the operating system. So initially, when the operating system are not developed, execution of an instruction is done directly on the hardware without using any interfering hardware at that time. Only drawback was that bare machine accepted the instruction in only the machine language. So due to that, those person who has sufficient knowledge about the computer field are able to operate the computer. Not all the people are able to operate the computer, because they understand the instruction only in the machine language. They accept the instruction, they understand the instruction only in the machine language. So the person who is who has a sufficient knowledge in the computer field can operate a computer. So after the development of operating system, bare machine is referred to as inefficient. So after the operating system comes to the market, bare machine is referred to as a inefficient, because bare machine is only for those person, for that instruction it is only in machine language. But in operating system we can also use the application language, user level language. So any user can use the operating system nowadays. So next is the resident monitor. Resident monitor, basically it is a code that runs on a bare machine. So in past days, when we want to execute an instruction, we can use the bare machine. So for accepting any instruction, we use the concept of the bare machine. So the code which is run on the bare machine is our resident monitor. So that code is basically called as a resident monitor. So the resident monitor works like an operating system, because in operating system, if we make any program, so this program is written in a coding language or machine level language. So the resident monitor works like an operating system that control the instruction and perform all the necessary functions. So it also works like a job sequencer, because the job sequencer nowadays called as a CPU scheduler. It also works like a job sequencer because it also sequences the job and send them to the processor. Now in operating system, job sequencer is known as a CPU scheduler. So after scheduling the job, resident monitor load the program one by one into the main memory according to their sequences. So after loading the program, the resident monitor load the program into the RAM. So one most important factor about the resident monitor is that when the program execution occurred, there is a gap between the program execution and the processing is going to be faster. So this is the main important factor about the resident monitor. So resident monitor basically is divided into 4 parts. First is the control language interpreter, second is loader, third is device driver, fourth is interrupt processing. Loader is basically used for loading the program, and device driver is the driver for the input output devices. Interrupt processing, it check the processing of the data, and control language interpreter basically it execute the instructions. So this is the memory layout of the resident monitor. Basically it is divided into the 4 parts. First is interrupt processing, second is device driver, third is job sequencing, and fourth is control language interpreter. So basically these all are part of the resident monitor, because resident monitor works like a operating system. Resident monitor works like a operating system. After that, the next area is the user program area, which is also called as the application area. Application area. And this is the boundary between the operating system and the application area, boundary between the resident monitor and application area. So, first is control language interpreter. First part of the resident monitor is the control language interpreter, which is used to read and carry out the instructions from one level to the next level. As its name suggests, control language interpreter. The work of the interpreter is to execute the instructions. So, it is used to read and carry out the instructions from one level to the another level. Second part of the resident monitor is the loader, which is called as the main part of the resident monitor, which load all the necessary system and application programs into the main memory. Whatever the program you have to be loaded in the main memory. So, this task is done by the loader. Third is the device driver. The third part of the resident monitor is the device driver, which is used to manage the connecting the input and output devices to the system. So, basically it works as an interface between the user and the system, and it works as an interface between the request and the response. So, the request which is made by the user, device driver respond that the system produces to fulfill these requests. Last is the interrupt processing. Interrupt processing is the fourth part. As the name suggests, it processes the all occurred interrupts to the system. Whatever the interrupts in the system, it manage and control all the occurred interrupts into the system. So, next is address binding. What is address binding in operating system? Address binding refers to the mapping of computer instruction and data into the physical memory location. So, how we bind the computer instruction, how we bind the data into the physical memory locations, and both logical and physical address are used in the computer memory. And it assigns a physical memory region to a logical pointer by mapping a physical address to a logical address known as the virtual address. Basically, address binding is a concept for mapping the logical address to the physical address, and it is also a component of computer memory management that the operating system perform on the behalf of the application that require memory access. So, basically there are the three types of address binding. First is the compile time address binding, second is load time address binding, and third is execution time address binding. Before go through these binding, we must check the how the framework of address binding. So, basically this is the diagram of the address binding. This is a CPU. CPUs generate the logical address. CPU generate the logical address, and this is the where we convert the logical address into the physical address. And we have a base register, and 1000 is a value in the base register, and this is a limit register is connected to the limit register, and the limit register has address of 1500. For example, we have a base register and we have a logical address 250. These all are both are add at this point. So, 250 plus 1000 is equal to 1250. So, we check the condition if the address is out of bound or not. If the address is not out of bound, it means it is stored in the computer memory. But if the address is no, means it is the out of bound, then we recheck the address at the CPU. So, this things is all managed by the memory management unit. How to convert the how to convert the logical address into the physical address, because at here we have a physical address, and at here we have a logical address. So basically this show how we convert the logical address into the physical address. So first we have a compile time address binding. Compile time address binding occur when the compiler is responsible for performing the address binding, and it will be done before loading the program into the memory. So basically it is a compile time address binding, means compiler is responsible for that binding, and it is done before the loading of the program into the memory. Next is the load time address binding. Load time address binding is done after loading the program into the memory, and it would be done by the operating system memory manager, which is called as the loader. After that we have a execution time or dynamic address binding. Dynamic time address binding is only applicable to variables, and it is usually used for script binding, which generally doesn't get compiled. So basically it is a structure of how we convert the logical address into the physical address with the help of the memory management unit, and all these addresses is stored in the physical memory. So basically this is a difference between the logical address and the physical address. When we talk about basically it is generated by the CPU, and basically location, physical address is a location in a memory, and address space, logical address space is a set of all logical address which is generated by the CPU, and physical address space is a set of all physical address which is mapped to the corresponding logical addresses. Third is the visibility. User can view the logical address, but in physical address user cannot view the physical address. Generation, logical address is generated by the CPU, and physical address is calculated by the memory management unit. Access, the user can use the logical address to access the physical address, but user can indirectly access the physical address but not directly. Second is editable. Logical address can be changed, but physical address cannot change. Or it is also called as a virtual address, and it is also called as the real address. So basically this is the difference between the logical address and physical address. Thank you.